The cafe was unusually crowded that morning, the kind of chaos that made orders blur together and tempers rise faster than the coffee machine could hiss. At the center of it all was Maya, a quiet waitress in a faded blue uniform, her dark hair tied into a messy bun, a few rebellious strands clinging to her flushed face. She moved between tables like a soft breeze, balancing trays and smiles, even when people weren't exactly kind. But that day, kindness was the last thing she received. At table 7 sat 3 men, local contractors who'd been working on a nearby site. Loud, arrogant, and always looking for entertainment at someone else's expense. Maya approached with her usual polite tone. "Good morning, gentlemen. What can I get you today?" One of them, a tall man with a smirk permanently glued to his face, leaned back in his chair. "How about a smile that doesn't look so tired? Or is that too much to ask?" His buddies laughed. Maya forced a polite grin, pretending not to notice the sting. "Coffee and pancakes, right?" she asked, keeping her voice steady. "Make it quick, sweetheart," another said. "We've got real jobs to get back to." She nodded and walked away. They kept laughing, not noticing the tremor in her hands as she poured coffee. Maya wasn't new to this. She'd been working double shifts ever since her husband, Daniel, got deployed overseas 2 years ago. They had a little boy, Liam, who'd just turned 6. Every dollar she earned went toward rent, groceries, and the small box of savings she called home someday. She didn't have the luxury of snapping back or standing up for herself. She'd learned long ago that silence sometimes protected dignity better than words. As she placed the men's food on the table, one of them, accidentally, brushed her hand. The other snickered. "Oops," he said mockingly, "guess I couldn't resist." Maya pulled her hand back and whispered, "Please don't." That only made them laugh harder. "Relax, honey, you're just a waitress. Don't take life so seriously." Their laughter echoed in her ears like nails on glass. She bit her lip, turned around, and walked away before her tears betrayed her. Behind the counter, her coworker Sandra gave her a sympathetic look. "They're jerks, Maya. Don't let them get to you." "I'm fine," Maya lied. "Just another day." But inside, she wasn't fine. Inside, she was breaking. By afternoon, the cafe was nearly empty. The 3 bullies stayed longer than anyone else, clearly enjoying the power trip. When it came time to pay, one of them whistled to get Maya's attention. "Hey, waitress, you forgot to refill my coffee. Think you're too good for that?" Maya walked over, exhaustion clear in her eyes. "I'm sorry, sir. Let me get that." As she reached for the pot, the man pretended to move his cup, spilling hot coffee all over the table, and onto her apron. "Oh, look at that," he said, feigning surprise. "Maybe next time you'll pay attention." His friends burst into laughter again. Sandra started to intervene, but Maya stopped her. "It's fine," she whispered, grabbing a towel. The bullies kept taunting, calling her names under their breath, pathetic, clumsy, worthless. When they finally left, one of them threw a crumpled dollar bill on the table as a tip. "Buy yourself something nice," he said with a grin. That was the breaking point. Maya turned, eyes glistening, voice trembling but firm. "You should be ashamed," she said quietly. "One day you'll understand what it's like to serve with dignity, not ego." They laughed again and walked out. Sandra hugged her tightly. "You did good, Maya. Don't let their words define you." Maya nodded weakly, but deep down, she prayed that life would someday teach those men a lesson they'd never forget. 2 days later, the cafe was hosting a local charity breakfast for veterans. The event was big. News crews, officials, and several military representatives were attending. Maya volunteered to serve. She loved supporting veterans, especially since her husband was one. The bullies returned that morning too, dressed in the same work uniforms. They hadn't changed a bit, still loud, still arrogant. As Maya served guests, they spotted her and laughed. "Look who's here again," one said. "Maybe she's looking for a soldier to rescue her." Maya ignored them and continued her work. Then the cafe doors opened, and silence swept the room. A tall man in uniform walked in, his presence commanding but warm. His medals glimmered under the light. The local reporter whispered, "That's Captain Daniel Hayes, decorated veteran, just returned from overseas." Maya froze, her breath catching in her throat. Her hands trembled, but this time not from fear, from overwhelming emotion. Daniel's eyes scanned the room, until they found her. "Maya," he whispered. She dropped the tray and ran into his arms. The cafe erupted in applause. Tears rolled down her cheeks as he held her tighter than ever before. "Missed you, sweetheart," he murmured. "I'm home for good. Dash dash dash." The bullies watched, confused. Then the reporter turned to them and said, "You're lucky to meet Captain Hayes, one of the most decorated soldiers in the state. He saved an entire unit during combat." One of them blinked. "Wait, her husband." Maya turned, her arm around Daniel. "Yes, my husband." Daniel looked at the men, his expression calm but firm. "Gentlemen, my wife tells me she's had a rough time here. Were any of you part of that?" The men stammered. No sir, we were just joking around." Daniel's voice hardened. "Mocking someone who works hard isn't a joke. I've seen real courage on the battlefield, and believe me, she's braver than most men I've served with." The bullies' faces turned pale. The laughter that once filled their table was replaced by heavy silence. One of them muttered, "I'm sorry, ma'am." Maya simply nodded. "I forgive you, but remember, you never know what someone's fighting through. Be kind, always. Dash dash dash." The event ended beautifully. Daniel was honored for his service, but what touched people most wasn't his medals, it was the way he looked at his wife. With pride, love, and respect. Later that evening, the same bullies returned quietly. They didn't mock or smirk this time. They left a generous tip, $200, with a note that read, "Greater than, for the bravest woman we've met, thank you for your service, too." Maya smiled through tears, not because of the money, but because something had changed. Maybe not in the whole world, but at least in a few hearts. As she closed the cafe that night, Daniel wrapped his arms around her. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded. For the first time in a long while, yes. Outside, the evening sun cast golden light through the cafe window, a quiet symbol of hope, forgiveness, and strength that no amount of cruelty could ever break. Dash dash dash. Moral: never underestimate the quiet ones. The world may mock their silence, but true strength doesn't need to shout, it simply endures, until it shines.